Hello and welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more BattleTech and my continued look at the backer beta build and the single player skirmish mode that is currently the only mode available. For this video, I'm going to do another gimmick build, this time around what I call the hit and run build. The main emphasis of this build is on mobility, firepower, and initiative. Due to a viewer suggestion, I'm going to try out a random opponent for the first time, so we'll have a little bit of unpredictability as we get into the match that I'm going to have to adapt to, as I have no idea what I'm going to be facing. Now, getting into the build itself, ideally what you want to have here is as light a mechs as you possibly can, and due to that, I did have to go down to the battle budget just because it was hard to fit in to a higher budget with all of the things that I'm looking for this build. So I want lighter mechs, giving me better initiative, I want mobile mechs, and I want mechs that can give me good firepower. And unfortunately, due to the mech selection that we have right now, there aren't that many mechs that really fit the bill, that have all three of those things: initiative, mobility, and firepower. I don't think that the mechs that I chose, all of them necessarily fit the bill perfectly. Ideally, I'd like to have all light mechs, because in that way we would definitely have the initiative edge, but I can't do that easily without doing just 4 of all the same mech, and we've already seen that with my 4 of a kind build. So I wanted to do something different with each mech and see how well suited these mechs are to it. So also the pilots I chose are going to work for this build as well. So going over what we have, the Commando is going to have good mobility. It's a light mech, so it'll have the initiative advantage as well. And firepower wise is pretty good. It's got an SRM-6, an SRM-4, and a medium laser. That's pretty decent. We also have Witness with the sensor lock ability to help us out a little bit with target acquisition. If you wanted to switch out this pilot with somebody else, I could see, as a matter of fact, a lot of these pilots you could probably switch out and do some experimentation. I think with any of the builds I do, that is something that you can do. But I could see a reason to swap out different mechs, and I just think that the sensor lock is so valuable at this stage of the game, the build that we have, that it's worth taking. The next mech we have is the Jenner. I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be the most mobile mech out of the ones that we have a choice of. And it also has fantastic firepower. We have an SRM-4 and 4 medium lasers, on top of the fact that we have jump jets, which is going to allow us to move around quite nicely. So this is just an obvious choice. And for my pilot, I chose Paradise. I could see, again, a couple different choices here. Perhaps somebody that has the death from above, whatever that's called, Angel of Death. For instance, Showboat might be a viable choice, giving you more range with your jump jets. But I think the Jenner is actually better suited if kept on the ground initially. So that's why I didn't choose that pilot. For the next mech, this is a mech I haven't really played a lot with, but I felt like it fit the bill pretty nicely. It's going to be the first medium mech that we're looking at, but it's a medium mech that has pretty good mobility, and that is the Griffin. And the particular variant we're using, and this is a variant of the standard Griffin. So the standard Griffin has a PPC and an LRM-10. This swaps out the PPC and the LRM-10, downgrading the LRM-10 to an LRM-5. So you still have a little bit of long-range attack, but not nearly as much, especially with the PPC being a pretty devastating long-range attack. You swap out the PPC for a large laser, and you add on 2 medium lasers. As far as this mech goes, though, it's not quite as fast as the Commando is, but it has jump jets kind of making up for that, and we've slotted in Blockade, which has that Angel of Death, which is going to increase your jump range anyway. So with the jump jets, we'll probably be able to get pretty close to keeping up with the Commando, at least at normal movement speeds. The Commando will probably be able to out-sprint me, but I think that this particular mech can do what we're looking for nicely. And as far as the firepower goes, a large laser and 2 medium lasers can be nice in-close firepower. Now, that's the other thing. I say firepower, I'm specifically talking more about close-in fire, because it's go in close, hit, and then run away. That's the whole strategy behind this. There's a strategy as well as a build that goes along with this whole idea. Lastly, we have the Kintaro. This is, again, a pretty mobile mech. It has the best armor, I believe, out of all the mechs that we have in this loadout. And what I did as far as the pilot goes is I put an arc light to give us a little better initiative. So although we have 2 medium mechs, it's going to count like we only have 1 because the Griffin will be the only one that acts as if it had the initiative of a medium mech because of our pilot. So more or less, it's like we're running 3 light mechs. So we should be pretty good on the initiative side of things. And then the Kintaro itself just has devastating in-close firepower. This is the slowest of the mechs, though, that we have available to us. It doesn't have jump jets to be able to disengage by using terrain. It just has normal walk and run speed. So it might be tough to pull off the whole hit and run strategy, but I'm going to try my best to do it. All right, and the arena we're going to be using is the river crossing at sunset. So let's go ahead and jump right into the match.
Commencing deployment. Mech warrior.
So as far as the strategy goes, hit and run if it's not obvious. What I'm trying to do is get in close, hit my opponent, take advantage of our initiative to then be able to run away from our opponent, completely disengaging, removing line of sight so that we cannot possibly be attacked. That's the idea. It might be tough to pull off, though, with all 4 mechs trying to do that strategy. I think if you were doing a build that was more well-rounded, maybe one of your mechs would do this strategy, probably more than likely going to be your light mech. Not all 4, which is why this is a gimmick build. We're seeing if it's actually viable to use this strategy with your entire lance. I think it can be, but it might take more mechs coming out to give us more versatility to try and attempt this build. But in any case, let's jump right into the match. So with the river crossing, we do have terrain, specifically a lot of terrain on our side of the map that we can use to disengage, although there are some rather large portions of the map that it's going to be hard to break line of sight. So I think more than likely what we're going to want to do is stick to this side of the map if we can. As a matter of fact, this particular map I chose specifically because I thought it might be a little bit hard to break line of sight because there are only a couple areas where I can really do that. I've got this big rock here, I've got a big rock here, I've got a couple areas on the other side of the map, and some areas over here, but there is expanses of open terrain, so we'll have to see how effective this particular strategy is on this map. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and start moving around. So I don't think I want to keep my mechs together, as I think it would be really hard to do the hit and run strategy if we did that. So I'm going to send the Jenner, who has the best mobility of our group, and I'm going to send them over to this side.
Have no doubt it will be done.
And then I might send the Griffin over there too. And then I'm going to send the Commando and the Kintaro over here, I think. Although, take them... Or we could just hang out over here and use this in our favor. So, moving along with
Roger.
the Griffin. So the Griffin should be able to jump over this if needed to do an attack. Or if we run into an attack, jump back over to get cover. So either way, that can work pretty effectively. As far as our Commando goes, I think initially I'm going to want to get line of sight fairly early. So I am going to move up into possible contact with the enemy here. But I'm going to try and hope for the fact that my better initiative will allow me to disengage if needed. Alright, so let's go right there. Try and establish that line of sight early. And then the Kintaro mech,
Yeah?
I think I'm going to put in... This is a tougher call here, what to do with the Kintaro, because I don't really want to be out in the open immediately. Let's move here. This way we have a couple different engagement angles, and we shouldn't...
I'll do what I can.
Maybe we'll be out in the open. I don't think so, though. I think this rock will block. Now, if they go out over here, they might be able to see me, but... Okay, so we're already establishing sensor contacts. Not necessarily line of sight, so we should have a fight going next at the end of this turn. Alright. So, what can we learn about their loadout? Well, they have 2 light mechs, a medium mech, and a heavy mech. We have no idea. We have an idea of what their tonnage is. So, they've got a 65-ton mech, they've got a 50-ton mech, and a 25-ton mech. Now, there's one mech that we don't see, and I can't be certain on what that is. I'm trying to think, 25 tons. What could that possibly be? How many tons is a commando? That might be a commando over there. Alright, we'll see. Okay, so the first action I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to move my commando. So let's grab witness here.
What can I do for you?
We don't want them to be able to establish a line of sight on me. So what I would prefer to do... I'm actually torn on this movement. They're going to have to move up to establish a line of sight on me, but if they do, more than likely they will fire at me. I'm going to go ahead and reserve my action and just assume that they will be establishing line of sight on me. Okay, there we go. Oh, a hunchback, huh? So that's a hunchback acting as a light mech, so we know that that is... Okay, we did get hit a couple times there.
Nice try.
Alright, so their hunchback is operating as a light mech, so we're going to assume that that's arc light piloting the hunchback. Okay, so we've got ourselves a target. I'm going to go ahead and move witness at this stage, as it is clear he's being fired upon. We don't want that to continue. We're going to break line of sight and use our sensor lock to help us fight this hunchback. We can take the hunchback out quickly. It would be nice, although the fact that they operate as a light mech is going to make this whole hit and run strategy difficult. So let's go ahead and sensor lock. Might have been better to go after the light mech here, but with that in mind, that light mech did move and fire, so they're not going to have evasive. They might have cover, though, so I think the better target is the hunchback at this stage. So we're going to be able to act with all of our mechs. I think we're going to start with arc light, who's going to come in. And I want to be able to use cover, but still have line of sight on the hunchback. I think this is probably going to be as good as it gets. Now, one thing I don't know if I pointed out, but most of the mechs that we have outside of the commando run fairly hot. So we're going to use this hit and run strategy of disengagement as a means of cooling ourselves down as well. Okay, so we're going to come in here and engage. You know what? That's not wise. Let's wait. Let's reserve. Let their last mech go so they can't really act against me. Okay, now we can go. So we'll have arc light go first. We're going to move into cover here. Now, if they move the hunchback first, that is going to be problematic in the next turn because they will be able to hit somebody. If we do our hit and run strategy here, where all 3 of our mechs here are going to fire upon the hunchback, they will have the opportunity to respond to what we're doing. So that could be problematic. All right, let's see what kind of fire chance we have. Not particularly great. But keep in mind, next turn, I'm more than likely going to be disengaging the whole hit and run strategy, which is going to allow me to cool down a little bit. What I might do is turn off one of the SRMs just to help conserve ammo a little bit, although I don't know how much of a concern that is. We'll fire off the LRM-5, though, because that's a pretty good chance to hit.
Firing.
Hey, it looks like the medium lasers hit. Okay, we knocked him unsteady. Actually, her. That's probably arc light as well. Okay, who next?
What's the plan?
If I move here, the only one that will be able to attack me would be that hunchback. I will have evasive because I have paradise, which is kind of the whole idea behind this strategy. I kind of expect that hunchback to attack me, specifically the Jenner. But I do want to come in here and use my firepower. Let's get in here. That's probably good right there.
Yes, Commander.
It's going to be somewhat of a long-range shot, but we're going to go for it. Okay, I'm going to unload everything here. I don't see a reason why not. We might be able to knock the hunchback down if we're lucky.
Confirmed.
Had some missing. Okay.
What do you need?
Now it's the Griffin's turn. Now we can use our jump jets here to engage, but I have to keep in mind if I do use the jump jets, it's going to heat me up a ton. We might want to use the jump jets to disengage rather than engage. I might just move into the woods here, as this will get me the closest, and it will also get me into cover. So, there we go. Unfortunately, Blockade's going to be the last person to leave this engagement because of the fact that initiative is not in our favor as far as things go there.
Got it.
What I suspect is going to happen for this particular engagement is I may be able to knock down the hunchback. Wow, we're actually run pretty cool with the Griffin, so that's nice. We might be able to knock down the hunchback, and that will guarantee that the hunchback goes first next turn. So let's go ahead and fire off. Okay, it looks like we got some good damage there. And no knockdown. So enemy turn, the hunchback goes first. I'm not surprised here at all. Let's see where the fire is going to come in. And I think no surprise. Oh, okay, so they tried to steady themselves. So that actually works out really nicely for us because we can work to disengage. And if I'm going to disengage anyone, I think the right move here is to disengage with Arc Light. And the reason I do that is I don't think they have line of sight of the Jenner. So out of all of these mechs we can disengage with, I think Arc Light makes the most sense. So I'm going to go ahead and do that disengagement. We'll move right here. I will turn and fire off my LRM-5 indirectly, I guess.
On it.
Now, they have guarded, so this is not going to do a lot of damage, but I figure, hey, we can fire our weapon off. I'm going to turn this back on, though, just to do so. This is going to help us cool down quite a bit. Oh, you know what? Yeah, we were here. We should be here. So let's fire off our LRM-5. It's not going to be a high chance to hit, but we don't have that many opportunities of actually firing these off. Okay, here comes the commando. No surprise, it's going to attack the Jenner. I actually expected that. Okay, the rest miss or are dodged. That was an unfortunately high amount of damage that I didn't really want to take. Okay, so now it's going to be Paradise's turn to disengage because we don't want to get hit any more than we already have. So we're going to go ahead and use our sprint here. And we're just going to get in behind this train. As much as I said, I don't really want to group my guys up. I might end up actually doing that anyway. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pivot in this way. And we won't have an attack, but this will give us an opportunity to cool down. Nicely. Okay, and we get some evasive going. Okay, at this stage we have Witness open to be used. We're not going to use Witness, though. We're going to reserve. Okay. And at this stage, I don't really know for sure what this mech did, but what I am going to do is take our Griffin. I actually have a couple different choices here. I could use our commando to sensor lock somebody, and then I can use the Griffin, jump away, and use the LRM-5 to hit them. It wouldn't do a lot of damage, but it'd do something. Or we can jump away now, be fairly certain we're going to lose the line of sight and not be able to fire at anything. I think the sensor lock is probably the better call. The main thing that we're losing out here is the commando's own hit and run attack, because I could take the commando in, hit, and then run away like we've done with our other mechs, but unfortunately, I don't think that would be particularly wise. So I'm going to go ahead and just stay where I am. We're going to use sensor lock. I'm going to use it on this mech because I think they're not going to be that good in cover. So let's go ahead and sensor lock them up. Ideally, I might even want to go after the light mech here, but yeah, let's just do this one. Okay. So what do we have as their other mech? Is it another hunchback? Oh, wow. This is going to be a challenge. Okay. So finally, we have Blockade being able to move here. And we are going to move because we don't want their heavy mech to be able to do anything against us. So we're going to use our jump jets here to try and move as far as we can. And I'm going to jump over here because I think that that's going to be an important place to jump. I guess I'm not going to get into cover. I guess it's all right. We're going to jump, and we're going to just hit the hunchback with our LRM-5. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but we get out of the combat zone. And this mech runs cool enough that I think we're fine to fire off this LRM-5. And we got a 70% chance to hit, which is not too bad. Okay, now it's the enemy's turn. And now we're going to have our perfect hit and run attack next turn. So at this stage, there's no point in moving anyone, so we're just going to go ahead and reserve. So the hunchback's moving back around. They're not likely to be even able to establish line of sight on me. Oh, I say as the commander comes in here with his sprint. That guy's going to be dead as hell. Okay, so they have a medium mech that's for sure going to be going soon. What we want to do is we want to kill the commando as quickly as possible, but I want to take that evasive away. So
What can I do for you?
what I'm going to do here is just continue to move around, trying to break line of sight with these guys. They're going to have to come this way to establish line of sight with me. Move like this. And then we'll just sensor lock up the commando. We'll use our other mechs to then punish. If that is indeed a hunchback, the hunchback won't be able to do anything with an indirect line of sight anyway. So really all we have to worry about is a heavy mech, which we have no idea what that is. Okay, so their other hunchback is going this way, which was able to establish line of sight on me. So that's a little bit bad, but we should be able to break contact with no problems. Okay, now the follow-up with that. Okay, so the Griffin has a couple different choices here. Let's start with the Kintaro.
Yep.
So I'm going to move, and I'm going to get into this cover, and we're just going to blast the living hell out of this commando at close range. Now, that does leave me vulnerable, perhaps, to this hunchback coming in and hitting me next turn, but the Kintaro's got good armor. We should be able to survive it. And we did cool ourselves down a little bit last turn, so we should be able to unload on this guy. Oh, okay. I established line of sight, but I don't actually have a direct line of sight. That's somewhat surprising. All right. Let's go ahead and turn off the LRM-5, as it's not going to be that useful. I am going to allow myself to overheat a little bit here, because I see no reason why not to. Let's go ahead and fire.
Okay, I'm on it.
And we didn't quite do as heavy as damage as I really would have liked there, but that's okay. And then as far as blockade and what we're going to do here, well, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If I'm going to attack this commando, I'm going to have that hunchback fighting me next turn. So why don't we... Their heavy mech might be able to hit me this turn too, so I do have to consider that. I think the best move here, though, is to get into cover to try and mitigate any damage that may be incoming. And we're gonna... The Griffin, unfortunately, has a bunch of heat buildup from that jump last turn. We're gonna turn off the LRM-5, though, and we're gonna hit him with a large laser and 2 medium lasers, and fire.
Attacking from position.
Ah, we missed with our big damage. We did manage to blow off the right torso and the arm with it. Okay, now the question is, can Paradise really do anything to help us out here? And I don't think so. So, really what we're going to do is we're going to move on the Hunchback that's out in the water. And with this, we should be able to get in, attack, and get out. Now, unfortunately, they have guard on, but there's not a whole lot I can really do about that without getting behind him. And we're going to have to wait for that kind of attack with the whole hit and run strategy. So we'll just come in, get nice and close, and the next turn we'll be able to sprint away or jump jet away as needed. Okay, we have no reason not to fire off everything we have here, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Outside of the fact that we're getting heat buildup, of course.
Firing.
Okay, got some damage there. Here comes their heavy mech, who might just be able to get in. Okay, it's a Yager mech. I'm going to assume that was a sprint, because that was an awful long way to move. I guess not. Okay, we took some damage there to our Griffin. I'm actually a little surprised that was the target they chose, but oh well. Okay, so starting things off with Arc Light.
What do you need?
We just unloaded in these guys and we're really hot. So we're going to want to break contact. That's the whole idea here. Now the problem is they're attacking me from 2 different directions. I don't know if that's something I'm actually ever going to really be able to pull off here. I think we go ahead with this move. Moving away. I may want to fire my LRM-5 off. I'm not exactly sure. Alternatively, I could sprint and try and cover more ground, but I don't think I'll be able to cover this ground, so I don't think it's worth it. I'm just going to do a normal move here. And I might hit the commando with an LRM-5 before it gets a chance to move. Now, if I do that move, I am possibly going to give my back to them if they're able to get around here with that commando. But we've already taken out some of its damage. We might be able to take out some more. Ooh, okay, our LRM-5 is not going to hit with that much of a likely chance. So I'm just going to brace here, which is going to eliminate some damage. Of course, if they do get in behind me, it's not going to really necessarily matter. Here comes the Hunchback, who's going to hit my Griffin. There's not a whole lot I can do about that.
Oh, damn
It hit me in the head. That's not good.
hit me in the meat.
Okay. Now, I could go ballsy here and get in behind the Hunchback and slam him in the back and try and do a lot of damage, but this is not the strategy that we're trying to do here. The strategy we're trying to do here is hit and run and cool ourselves off in the meantime. So I'm going to move... If I move here, in theory, they'd be able to maybe come around here and see me, but I'm going to do that move anyway. It might be able to move in here and see me too, so either way, this might be a bad move, but we'll also brace here. Help mitigate some damage. Okay, the commando is just going to run away, I take it. Okay. Guess that makes sense. Alright, now our commando might get attacked here by the Hunchback. So, as much as I want to reserve, I have a feeling that's exactly what the Hunchback's going to do. It's going to come in here, and it's going to lay into my commando. I really don't want them to be able to do that, but I also don't know how I'm going to prevent it. So, what I might do is just a positioning move here to make sure I cannot be attacked.
I hear ya.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sprint over this way. In theory, you still might be able to hit me. Huh, I think I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. If I don't move, his chance of hitting me might be pretty good. And that'd be a ton of damage, and I really don't want to take that kind of damage. Okay. Well, I'm going to try for the sprint. This is kind of the downside of a commando and really how little mobility you have. Okay. For as light of a mech as it is. Okay, here comes their Hunchback. Didn't take this move, after all. Okay, now we're going to need to get Blockade the hell out of there, because already taking pretty good damage here. So we're going to use our jump jets, which does mean I'll heat up a lot. I have a feeling that the Yager mech is going to swing around. And try and come in and hit my Kintaro. Why did... Ah, okay, I understand now. So I can't hit any of these guys because I don't have line of sight of them. We want to make this move knowing that the Hunchback will be able to turn around and hit me next turn. Well, what better move do we have? I don't know.
Here we go.
More than likely, we'll break contact with these guys over here, though. And I'm going to go ahead and do this attack with our LRM-5. That is overheating me, though. I'm just going to brace. Try and mitigate damage incoming. So here comes the Yager mech. I suspect he'll come in here, get into cover, and then hit my Kintaro, which is exactly what he did. Okay, we did brace though, so that was reduced. The damage, that is. So the AI is actually doing a good job of working against the whole strategy that I have here of hit and running them because they're staying together. If they had spread out more, I'd be able to take advantage of flanks and things. And right now, I haven't really been able to do that. Because a big part of the hit and run strategy is you're trying to remove their ability to hit you by moving out of the way. But the downside is it's actually getting to the point where I don't know if I can continue to do that without someone on their side being able to hit me and me not being able to respond back. Well, at this stage, I am going to reserve here because the only real mech that's going to be able to hit me is this Hunchback. The main person I'd think about moving would be the Kintaro. And honestly, we're better off not moving the Kintaro because of the guard. So I'm just going to go ahead and reserve here. Swing back around, huh? Okay. You still had enough to shoot, jeez. Okay, we reduced a lot of that. So it's pretty clear that they've decided that they want to focus fire on my Griffin, if they can. Okay, so they're going to have their one medium mech still around. I'm going to reserve one more time. That more than likely this hunchback will swing around and hit my griffin yet again. But there's not a whole lot I can do about that. Okay.
I'm under heavy fire here.
Now it's time for our counterattack. So at this point, our commando and our Jenner should be able to counterattack without really much of a... Well, there's always a theoretical reprisal with the whole having a hunchback move at the same time as a light mech with arc light. But I'm going to move in. We're going to hit this guy because he's out in the open and has no cover. So that's where we're going to focus our fire here. Okay, our chance to hit is not spectacular, but we're still going to go for it.
Firing everything I've got.
Unfortunately, hunchbacks have really good armor, so looks like I missed a good deal of my shots as well. Okay, here comes the Yager mech, who is probably he's going to hit the Kintaro again. We'll see what we can do about that. Yager mechs are not going to have spectacular armor. We may be able to get in behind. No, it doesn't look like it. Well, we can still get in here and do damage. I can come in and punch. That is going to possibly expose me a little bit. I can go into cover, but that will more than likely give me give my back to the opponent. I think we punch here just to cool off, really. So I'm gonna come in here. We're gonna move here, and we're going to engage. This is gonna remove both the guard and the evasive. Clearly Paradise in that mech. Now, in theory, the Yager mech should have the advantage in the punching battle, but I mostly did that just to remove the evasive. And maybe next turn we'll be able to take advantage. Okay. Now we have Paradise and Blockade.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, I'm going to move in with Paradise to here. And we're going to hit this Hunchback again, the one out in the open. I thought about going after the Yager mech. Again, the Yager mech's not going to have spectacular armor. But yeah, let's hit the Hunchback for everything we've got. I'm hoping we beat up on this guy enough that we might be able to do some serious damage here. Okay. Now I have to make my decision with Blockade, what I'm going to do. Now, the problem is the heat that we've built up at this stage is pretty high. But I think what we're going to need to do is just disengage from the Hunchback so they stop hitting me so hard. And I think we're going to come in here and try and help out against the Yager mech. And maybe even just get into a punching duel to try and help cool us off. So that's going to be the move I take. And we might sacrifice one of our light mechs here, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the large laser to try and help cool us down. Granted, if we come in for a punch fight, the heat might not matter. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and hit him with all the close-range weapons we've got.
I'm on it.
I was kind of hoping for a knockdown. This is going to be the real risk right now. This move. Okay, nothing really came of it. All right, so first things first. I think the Jenner is the most likely to be able to deal with anything that might happen as far as an attack. So I think we're going to move the Commando first. We're going to use the commando to hit the Yager mech. I believe this space is probably the best for us. We're just going to unload on the Yager mech. I'm hoping to knock down the Yager mech so that we can get cold shots on it. So we'll fire everything we've got here. And there we have the knockdown. Now, if I were to aim at anything in particular, I'd probably go after the right torso. Okay, here's a commando. Gonna fire off a little bit of weaponry at our Kintaro.
Armor holding.
We should be able to take that kind of damage. Okay, and now for Paradise here.
Reporting.
I think we're just gonna disengage from the Hunchbacks, and we're gonna try and use our firepower here, the other aspect of this build. We could go after the commando too, try and knock him out. I think it's important we kill the Yager mech while we can, though. So I think I'm going to move right here. I'm not going to have a lot of heat to use, though, is the reason why I don't think I'm going after the commando here. We'll be able to maybe follow up, though, with a commando kill, if we're lucky. Okay, we're going to come in, and we're not going to fire everything off here. We're going to reserve a couple medium lasers, and I'm going to go for the right torso, because that will knock out a lot of the weapons. Because, let's see, we've got an AC2 and an AC5 in that arm, and we have the medium laser here, so we can knock out a good chunk of the firepower here if we take out the right torso. So let's go for a right torso hit. Oh, actually, we have to click there.
Target acquired and locked in.
Okay, we did do some internal damage there. We're gonna have to follow that up with our other mechs here. So Arc Light is now cooled off. I think I'm going to actually go for a commando kill here. I know that kinda is not the best idea, all things considered, because the Yager mech might be the more dangerous. Yeah, screw it. I'm really torn on this one because we might be able to neuter the Yager mech's firepower by coming in and opening up on this, but I have to keep in mind the Griffin is really hot right now. So the better call is probably just using our firepower against the Yager mech. But the thing is, I want to get in front of it so that I'm not going to the left side because I want to be able to hit that right torso. So let's move in like this. I'm going to allow the Griffin to come in and punch or kick the downed mech. We're going to fire here. We're going to focus on the right torso. We might kill this guy with just the amount of firepower we're putting out on him. Let's fire. Okay, we did manage to destroy that right torso and right arm, and shred the center torso armor. Okay, here comes their medium mech. Gonna come back around. Maybe able to get in a shot, maybe not. Okay, so now Blockade's just gonna come in and kick this guy. So we're going to engage from this space and engage. And I'm hoping to just kick him to death. Okay, we got him. Okay, the Yager mech's down, so then we're not going to get a reprisal from the Yager mech. And we're back around. So the commandos... Oh, okay, they didn't go with the commando. That's actually a mistake, because we're going to be able to unload on the commando. Of course, that depends on us being able to do that. But let's go with the Inspire on Paradise. No, not on Paradise. On Arc Light. I might shut down doing this, but I think it's well worth it. Come on, Inspire. That button's a little finicky. Okay, so I'm going to go in. I don't think I'm going to get quite that close, but we'll come in like this. is we'll remove the cover for the commando. I'm going to unload with everything I've got as far as close range weapons go. I'm not really concerned about the shutdown. I want to kill this commando and make sure it's dead. So we're going to fire away.
Roger.
Boom. Dead. Okay, so that's 2 mechs down in quick succession. We are going to shut down.
Gotta shut down. Can't vent enough heat.
Which does mean that they'll be able to take a cold shot against my mech, but we may be able to do a nice counterattack. So I'm going to reserve now. Okay, actually that took a... I'm actually a little bit surprised. Why would you go with the guard when I have a shutdown mech that you could easily take advantage of? Maybe a little too hot running? Not exactly sure, but we are definitely going to go after this guy now. So Paradise is going to come in and get in behind this guy with jump jets. Jump jets will heat me up too much. Can't actually get a back shot here, which is unfortunate. Well, either way we look at it, I'll be able to shoot and then run away, so let's just get in relatively close and we'll fire away. Unfortunately, I can't get in behind. That's what I would like to do so that we can do good damage. And I may have to turn off one of my medium lasers. Or the SRM-4. Yeah, we'll just hit him with 2 medium lasers here.
Locking on target.
Okay, not a lot of damage, but it's something. Okay, now we're going to have Blockade go. Now, Blockade has cooled down nicely, so... I think the punch is probably the best move I have in this encounter, because I can't get in behind unless I use jump jets. Jump jets might actually be the right course of action, though. So let's jump in behind. I'll angle myself like that so they can't get my back.
Confirmed.
We know that the Griffin is fairly cool running. And then we'll just open up with our close range weapons into the back. Whew. Okay, this is a little bit more heat than I expected, but you know what? I'll take it. Not many times you're going to be able to get a back shot like this. Okay, nice center torso damage. A lot of damage there. Really focused shot. Okay, and now Witness is also going to come in for a shot. Unfortunately, I will not be able to get a back shot either. But we're going to do this anyway so that we can come in and do damage. As we will be able to run away with this mech afterwards. So, go ahead and fire everything here. Commander runs really cool, so usually don't have to worry as much. I mean, to be honest with you, I might just take advantage of this mech while I've got everything separated, not really do a hit-and-run strategy. Instead, just go in, maybe even get myself shut down again. So if we were to do that... Well, first things first, I should restart. Okay. So I will be able to get in behind, but I won't be able to get in behind and be able to shoot the guy. So I think we just run away at this stage. I don't want to get a counterattack on myself, so let's see how far a sprint's going to take me. Oh, hell yeah. We can get well out of there. Matter of fact, no, I don't think that's going to be cover. That's not going to count as cover. So we'll come in here and get in behind this rock. And that will help us cool down for next turn. We can maybe even use the water next turn to hit this hunchback. Okay. Now, Witness. We want to do something similar. Get out of here. More or less. Unless we can get in behind, which unfortunately we can't. So I don't want to give this guy a possibility of being able to just do a lot of damage to one of my light mechs. So what I'm gonna do is move in right here. But he still might be able to get me. I don't think I can run far enough with the commando, which is kind of the problem. We can't quite run far enough. I mean, I can run a good distance away and try and get cover. Okay, well, I think I'm just gonna run this way. If he bypasses... this is a tough move. Just because, our commando might take a lot of damage, and there's not, I think, a lot I can do about it. See, if I move here, I'll be giving my back, and there's no way to really, I think, 100% prevent that. Yeah, you know what? Let's try that. Just gonna run. Hunchbacks are dangerous. We don't want to allow them to be able to just do some massive counterattack. So he's gonna do a reverse. I suspect maybe even a brace to try and remove the... Yeah, that's exactly what I thought he might do. Alright, well, he's gonna give me his back again. I'm gonna take advantage.
What do you need?
So we're just gonna run in behind him. Or I may just punch him. Try and cool myself off a bit. Yeah, let's just punch him.
Position confirmed.
It's not gonna be an ideal move, but... Oh, okay, well, this is definitely not an ideal move because we missed.
Damn it.
But we cooled off a little bit, so... Okay. Here comes their light mech. Or their medium mech that's acting as a light mech.
Yes, Commander.
Okay.
I'm here.
Cannot move arc light into a position to really help me, so I might want to just come in here and punch again, because it's going to remove the cover. And it will cool us down as well, so maybe not a wise move, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to come in and we're going to punch. This time, hopefully, we hit. I didn't really pay attention to what the chance to hit it was. 98%. That's pretty good. Okay, we made him unsteady. That might give us a ability to come after him. Okay, so Witness, unfortunately, is more than likely not going to be able to get into engagement unless we put him in risk. I think we just reserve at this point. We're going to want to see what the Hunchback does. Okay, he's just going to unload on our Griffin, which does pretty good damage.
Damn it. I've got an armor breach.
Okay. Now we can respond to that attack by getting in behind. This is going to threaten our Griffin yet again, but you can't not take the back attack when you've got it. So we're going to move in here, and we're going to unload on his back and try and kill him, because we were fairly close to doing that last time we did this. And away we go. Hopefully we can get some focus fire into the back. There we go. Killed him. So we took some heavy damage trying to get that kill, but it worked out in the end. Now, Paradise
Awaiting orders.
is pretty cooled off at this point. Let us just move to get a little bit closer. I'm going to get into cover 2 for next turn. We're going to do the same thing with Witness. And I might even sensor lock the guy just so we do it. I mean, I don't think it's really going to necessarily matter. You can just brace to ensure he doesn't do heavy damage. Okay, and then finally Witness.
You, Commander.
He is going to... You know what? Actually, we're going to sprint. And I'm going to put you within the woods here so that we can act next turn. Because I suspect the Hunchback's going to come right after our Griffin. We can't prevent that move. I'm hoping it will be an attack from the side, though, which will mitigate the chance of it hitting the center torso, which is very damaged. We may lose our Griffin here, but it was well worth the chance of getting a kill. Okay. We managed to get away with that. So now it's time for the counterattacks. So starting off, we're going to take Arc Light here, and we're going to move into the water to help with heat, and we're just going to unload on this bastard. He's already taken good damage, so we'll probably have a good chance of taking him out this stage. So let's just fire. Okay, we definitely did some damage there. Knocking out the left torso. Now, is that going to knock out a lot of the firepower? I would assume so. Let's take a look. Just one medium laser is all we got. Well, that's okay. Paradise going to also stay in the water here and move in. Now, because of the initiative of this Hunchback, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get the advantage of our initiative. But at the very least, we'll be able to unload with all of our weapons here, as we have spent a while cooling off.
The target is confirmed.
Okay, now the center torso is pretty hurt. Okay, Witness
What can I do for
is
you?
going to move right there. And you know what? We're going to Inspire Witness. Inspire. Fire.
We can do this.
Yeah, we can do this. Okay, you're going to move right there. And we're hoping to get through this guy's cover and do some good damage. Commander has pretty respectable damage, so let's do this.
Take this.
Okay, unfortunately, we did a bit of missing there. We did manage to knock him down, and he's got some pretty good damage to his center torso. We might be able to finish him with the Griffin here. Okay, Blockade. Let's make this dramatic. Blockade, go in there and stomp him. If this doesn't work, it's unfortunate, but hey, we gotta go for it. Go in and give me a stomp. At the very least, you take out a leg or something, maybe. Okay. Boom. Good job. All right, I like that. We ended it in dramatic fashion. Gave him a good stomp. Actually, we killed 2 mechs with that stomp from the Griffin, so that's pretty good. Let's get our action report. I kind of like the random opponent. It did add an element of, you know, not really knowing what you were going to encounter. And that made it a little bit interesting. So our Griffin took some pretty good damage there, but we managed to come out in one piece with all of our mechs. Really, Kintaro is such a solid mech. I know it did take damage, but the armor is pretty solid, so we didn't, not too bad there. We took a heavy hit at one point, I think from that commando to our leg on the Jenner. Jenner doesn't have a great armor, so it went right through the armor. Yeah, that was about it on the Jenner, just that one hit, really. And we had another leg hit over here on a commando, but most of our mechs look pretty good, just the Griffin taking a lot of damage. So that was a pretty fun match. Now, it's a lengthy battle timer. Now, I probably could have done things a little bit quicker, but just with this strategy, the hit and run strategy, you're spending turns when you're not doing things because you engage, you hit, you run away. Next turn, you engage, you hit, you run away. And so it takes possibly twice as long to get through a match as it would if you just moved in, attacked. But the idea behind this whole build is that when you do that, you're going to mitigate the damage that your opponent can do to you. The problem is with this gimmick build, trying to do that with your entire lance is tricky because your opponent, the best strategy they can do to try and prevent that is kind of what the AI did, which is bunch up your mechs and not really spread out a lot. Which, if you move as a unit, you're eventually going to catch one of the hit and runners in a position they don't want to be in, and then you can hit them. And that's kind of what happened to the Griffin. Is the Griffin is our guy that had the worst initiative, the one that would move the last, or be the last one to move, and that was the mech that was getting hit. So that is the problem with the gimmick builds. At any time, you can take advantage of them, but I think a single mech in a lance can actually use the strategy quite effectively, and I think this is one of the best ways to use light mechs effectively. Use the hit and run tactic. Go in, hit, get out. Go in, hit, get out. Take advantage of your initiative to ensure that you can get out without taking fire. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.